everybody. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And this is Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. I am very excited about today's topic. One of the things I do in my work, in my 12-week Emotionally Naked Dating course, which you can always talk to us if that's something that you think you might want to do. You can go to lisashield.com, click the button to watch my free 45-minute presentation. And if you like it, you can jump on a call with me or a member of my team. So one of the things we do in this course is we really help humanize men, not make them other, something that a woman has to get a guy or get to I do. We don't, but to really make men people and explain that everything that's happening with us is happening with them and vice versa. There's not an emotion in the emotional rainbow that women feel that men don't feel too. Yeah. And it might be a little bit different for all of us, but we really do feel the same things. It manifests a little bit differently, but it's the same emotion underneath. So today we're going to talk about rejection.
Right.
And this is something I know when I was younger, I had a lot of ideas, babe, about men and who they are. And I used to think that being a masculine man sort of meant being impervious to emotions, to having feelings, to getting upset about things, that women had emotions and men were stoic. They just moved through things unfazed. And I now know that that's absolutely untrue.
Right. Men are fragile. Men in some ways are more fragile than women. And, we just think that a masculine man, a strong man, would be impervious to to feeling rejection. But you take a guy like George Clooney, that when he was dating, probably a rejection would have felt devastating at the time.
Well, and I actually had the funniest experience when we lived in Los Angeles. We used to work out at Easton Gym. It was this old-fashioned Hollywood gym. You loved it.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of Hollywood celebrities that would come and work out there. And one day, McSteamy was there from Grey's Anatomy. So there was McDreamy and McSteamy. And McSteamy was working out with his trainer. And I overheard McSteamy, he was divorced, I believe. He had maybe recently gotten divorced. And he was just chatting with his trainer. And he said that he had gotten ghosted by a woman that he was dating. And I loved hearing that, not for his sake, but I was cracking up. And I said to him, oh my God, I'm a love coach. And my clients would just go crazy to hear you say that you got ghosted. Because the bottom line is everybody gets rejected. And it's painful. It's painful because it really affects our image, our sense of self, who we want to be, how we want to come across, how we want other people to perceive us.
Yeah, and we feel somehow we're not good enough, whether it's physically, sexual attraction, socially, financially, somehow we didn't make the cut.
Yeah, and even McSteamy. So one of the things I know about men is that they're just as terrified of rejection as we are.
Yeah, and often it keeps a man from moving forward to approaching a woman because he may feel that, physically he may not have enough hair. He's judging himself. He's not driving the latest model car. He may not have all of his style together. And so a lot of men won't approach a woman because he feels like he has two strikes against him going into it. That's why it's so important for a woman to give the first signal, whether it's a glance, holding a glance, a smile, just looking at a man and maybe running her hand through her hair. nothing overt, but just something that is an invitation. And as a man, if a woman is trying to be mysterious or aloof or even bitchy, that's not inviting. That's kind of a myth that men really like mysterious women or bitchy women, or being aloof is going to draw a man in. It won't, because he knows that he's up against something that's not inviting.
No, that makes perfect sense. I know that I was afraid to give a man a signal or a sign when I was younger because I was so afraid of rejection. So I was afraid that if I smiled at a guy or I looked him in the eyes or gave him some kind of signal and he didn't come over, I would feel rejected.
And of course, there could be 1,000 reasons why he didn't come over. He could be married. He could have a girlfriend. He could be gay.
Right.
We don't know. And I think with rejections, we often make up stories why we're rejected without really understanding that there could be just infinite reasons that have nothing to do with us why, we might get rejected. I remember even before our first date, this was in the very beginning of, over 20 years ago of online dating. And we communicated, and I think we may have had a phone call. And you wrote back, before the phone call, you wrote back, okay, Benjamin Shield, you made the first cut. And I took it literally. I thought, oh my gosh, I was looking in the mirror sideways, giving myself a pinch test, looking under the, my jaw, just to see if I had a double chin. I was thinking, wow, I wonder what it's going to take to make the second cut. I took it literally. You were just having fun. And I called my friend. I said, wow, this woman is really particular. And, because I took it literally, it wasn't inviting. I was thinking, how do I even match up with this woman? Because I didn't meet you in person. And as soon as I did, all the walls came down.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't even think of it that way. I was just being playful.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it would have affected you like that.
Well, it could have affected a lot of men. Even when, someone thinks it's playful, it's such a tenuous subject for men. Like I reach out to a woman I'm attracted to and, I'm hoping to get a positive response back.
And if I had put a wink or something or an LOL.
I don't think we had emojis back.
Right. It probably could have helped a lot.
Yeah, it would have.
It would have helped a lot because you would have known I was being playful.
Yeah.
Because then I said I would love to get together after I said that.
Yeah.
I said, I'd love to get together. I'm going out of town. Maybe, but if we could see each other in the next few days, we could get together before I go.
Yeah.
And so I did say I would love to get together. I know I did.
Yeah, and we did. And the rest is history.
Right. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Well, one of the things that's so tough, I know, for men is that you want to be heroic. Men want to be our heroes. And when you feel like you failed us, what happens?
Oh, it's emasculating. It's emasculating. And there are so many ways that we could feel like we're failing a woman. She could have a better career than we have. She could have a larger circle of friends and social support. She could have really interesting hobbies that she's really involved with that we actually feel like we have to compete with.
Or a beautiful home.
Beautiful home, exactly.
Great car.
Yeah, and, sometimes if a woman has it all together, a guy doesn't know how to fit into her life. Yeah, that happened to you once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did. He was very obvious about it. What about sexual rejection, babe?
Well, I think it's one of the reasons why a woman may wonder why a guy doesn't come forward and it's already the third date and he hasn't tried to kiss her, is that he's waiting for an invitation because it is crushing to go in for the kiss and have a woman suddenly turn their cheek. I had an incident where I was at a woman's house and we were both going through the hallway. It's a very thin, doorway. And we were kind of face to face. And I think she was afraid I was going to go in for the kiss, which I wasn't. But her head snapped back so hard that I thought she was going to have a whip. I thought the next time I saw her, she'd be in a collar.
Oh my God.
So,
Oh,
I would never, that the relationship never got beyond that, because I was thinking, wow, if she reacted that way, there's no way that I'm going to go in for a kiss or, try to further the relationship.
oh. And other ways sexually, they're afraid to advance often. And I know we really work with the women in our 12-week program to make sure that when they put up a boundary with a man, they're gentle in the way that they do it. Unless, of course, he's sexually aggressive, then that's a different story. But if a lovely man is making sexual overtures and maybe coming on too strong, too fast, or whatever, we teach them how to gently let a man know that they want to take it slowly and, would it be okay? And I actually encourage them not just to say, I want to take this slowly, but to also say to a man, would that be okay with you too? How do you feel about that? So they're not just giving a man an order, they're including him in that decision so he can say, no, I understand. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And a man is afraid of being rejected sexually. Sometimes the more attracted a man is to a woman, he's just beside himself. It's not always easy to perform. I mean, one thing's like beautiful woman, the woman of his dreams, but sometimes the more desirous a woman is, the more that a man really, is excited. Sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And it's humiliating. And so sometimes a man won't even try to advance to that sexual level because they're afraid of disappointing and feeling rejected.
Or premature ejaculation.
Yeah. Or being compared to other men.
Yeah.
Like a beautiful woman or a social woman may have had many suitors, and, he's afraid he's going to be compared to those previous men.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah. We don't think about that. We just think it's the realm of men to want sex and to be sexual, to pursue sexually. And so I don't think a lot of women stop and think about how sensitive that is, especially for good guys.
Yeah.
Especially for a very good and caring guy. A man who objectifies women or just compartmentalizes sex, I'm sure, can come on and have a conquest or whatever. But so much of the work that we do is really not just bringing in the sexual attraction, the chemistry, but also the emotional chemistry. And that's where it gets trickier because, two people can have some drinks and come home and rip each other's clothes off and act out sexually. But it's a whole different thing when it's a really good man who's genuinely interested in a woman. Yeah. And then the other thing women often do is when men do advance sexually, we, going back to the talk, we give a lecture or, you're coming in for like making sexual overtures. And then we get into the, kind of like, we need to have a talk right now. That's got to be a real buzz killer.
That's a buzzkill.
Yeah.
The only guys that seem impervious to rejection, in a way, is the narcissistic guy. He just feels he can just find the next person. However, I've known guys that when they are rejected, it is devastating. They cannot get over it. They'll go into therapy. They will hold on to it. There's two types of rejection for these guys. One is that it's like a cold call in a sale. They'll go in and the woman's not interested. He just goes on to the next one. But if he really likes someone and he gets rejected, it is devastating for these guys. Devastating.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And some of these guys that have never gone into therapy before will go into therapy.
Wow. And what about divorce?
Well, divorce is a man immediately feels like he's unsuccessful, like he's failed. Whether he's the one that decides to leave or it's mutual or she's the one that decides, somehow he didn't live up to the expectations. He may not have been man enough. He may not have been ethical enough. He may not have provided enough. He may not have been emotionally available enough. Somehow he wasn't enough. And so taking that back into the dating world, he's wounded.
Even if he cheated or even if he was the one who strayed.
Well, that means he's failed. He did it. He broke the marriage up because he strayed.
Mm-hmm.
And so he failed.
And if the woman strays, he still feels like he failed.
Oh my gosh, yes. Even more so. I mean, it's just a different type of feeling like a failure. One is that he let his hormones lead, and the other was that he may not have been masculine enough if the woman strayed, that he wasn't emotionally available enough, masculine enough, provided enough, been handsome enough, all of those things.
But they carry that, right? Like they really carry that with them.
It's a wound, and sometimes these wounds accumulate.
Wow.
And so by the time a man is, of a certain age, he can be gun shy.
Honey, what would you want women to know? First of all, I adore you. I just think that you are the perfect combination of vulnerable and honest and real and masculine. You're just this perfect combination of qualities, of the best of what I think it means to be a man. What would you want women to know about what men are going through? Because my goal is for women to have compassion for men. And I want to be very clear before you respond that I'm not saying it doesn't go both ways.
Right.
I'm never saying that, but I'm a woman who grew up both simultaneously wanting to be a man because I felt envious, because I felt like it was a man's world, and also resenting men for who they were and how they act and how cavalier men can be, and how it seemed to me as a woman that men can get away with so much more than women can. In some ways they do. So meeting you and having a man like you in my life, which I knew there were good men out there, but I had some inaccurate views of men and who they are and what they go through in life.
Underneath any man's behavior is a certain innocence of just wanting love, wanting connection. And sometimes that longing early in life gets thwarted. And so they begin to develop personality characteristics that kind of suppress that need or pretend that it's not there. And they make up for it with behavior, and sometimes poor behavior. Mm-hmm. And I'm not suggesting that women be with a man who behaves poorly, but to take a man's behavior, whether he's a saint or a sinner, whether he seems like a really good guy or just a pain, and know just one layer underneath it, and one layer underneath that, and then one layer underneath that is an innocent child just saying, I need love. Mm-hmm. I want love, please. And because it wasn't given to him, or it was thwarted, or he was rejected even at a young age, men will create personality traits to try to seem impervious, where actually the more poorly they behave is really a sign of how much need they have for this connection.
Yeah. And then it's like a negative feedback loop, right? The more they develop those behaviors, the less women like them, and the less they get the love that they're really looking for. And so it just is a horrible, negative, vicious cycle that they're creating.
If it's possible for a woman to just see under that layer of behavior and make a connection, just reaching over, putting her hand on a man's hand, looking into his eyes, and letting his walls come down. Yeah. Because the walls are really fear. And the fear is that he's not going to get love, that he's going to be rejected for something that he needs most of all of anything. I mean, the kind of shirts that he buys, the kind of car that he drives, the kind of career that he has, it's all about getting love. And it's all about the less possibility of being rejected. So, if a woman shows some interest in a guy, and she could not be at that level that he's playing at, but the more genuine level of what he needs, what he craves. And it would melt the most poorly behaved man, other than pathology, but because that's what people want. And a man may show bravado. He may show, I don't need a woman. I'm great. I've got all these toys. I've got snowmobiles, and I've got Porsches, and I've got a vacation home in Mexico. What he wants most of all is the love, someone to share it with, just to be able to be seen. And I think that men not only are afraid of rejection, but they really want for them to be seen.
Yeah, a woman who sees them.
Yeah, and that cuts through everything. It cuts through everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, honey, I think on that beautiful note and that beautiful sentiment, we'll end there. That was lovely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your heart. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Babe.
Thank you for inviting me.
Aw. Well, I just want every woman on the planet to meet a Benjamin.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have so many clients who have. In fact, as you were talking, one of our dear clients, and we don't know where it'll go, but she's met a lovely man who she says reminds her quite a bit of you.
That's very sweet.
And he called her yesterday just to tell her that he hasn't met a woman like her who just brings out the best in him and makes him want to be a better man. And he said he realized he hadn't had that in his last 2 relationships, and that this is really a joy for him. So to your point, 2 people who see each other and only want the best for each other and bring out the best in each other. Yeah. It's pretty simple,
Yeah. And what we call becoming the guardians of each other's souls.
Yeah. Becoming the guardians of each other's souls. Yeah. All right, everybody. I am Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And please go to lisashield.com, click the button to watch our free 45-minute presentation. Stay to the end, because that's where you can book a breakthrough call with me or a member of my team to discuss how we can help you find the guardian of your soul. We'd also love it if you could rate and like this podcast. You can also give us a thumbs up on YouTube. You can send us your comments or your suggestions for future conversations to podcast@lisashield.com. And tell everybody you know. Tell your sisters and brothers and your aunts and uncles and nephews and nieces and your girlfriends, your guy friends, even your mom and dad. Anybody who you think will benefit from hearing what we have to say. We would love it if you would help us get the word out. Please come back and see us again. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.